folks, Ariel over here in Nyth's wood bin actually. You can usually see the big stack of firewood with the big pieces for the outdoor fire pit. That's the side that faces the house, and this side I built this little bin a few years ago out of recycled pallets just to hold all my little bits, because these guys are all so small they don't really, you know, lend themselves to making a nice neat wood pile, so I just toss them in my bin here. I just wanted to do an update. This is about a week into March, and I wanted to do a quick update on how my wood stack is looking. You can see on this side, this end's pretty empty. This one's still pretty full. It was actually a bit after the winter started because I was so busy last fall with being gone I didn't quite get everything done as early as I wanted to, but I think I have to look back at my photos. I think it was by mid-November I had this completely full with split, wood, like packed up to this peak the whole way up. And that's about a cord and a half with this bin's 3 pallets long and they're each 4 feet long and it's a pallet wide, and anyway, that adds up to being about a cord and a half of wood. That's usually been enough for me for a year. This year I'm going to be close, I think. So I've still got kind of this wing. I'll show you in a minute. Hi, Burley. You coming to say hi too? Yeah, you are. Aw, everybody loves you, especially me. Yeah. Still have this wing. Kind of using up this one first. And over there outside of this bin, I still have a pile of extra rounds. I always try to have a pile of extra in case I need more. Now, hi, beautiful. Hi. Do you need a snowball thrown for you? Here. I always try to have that extra pile in case the winter sticks around longer than average. This year I have gone through a little more wood than average. That is because it has been pretty cold. Usually really snowy winters are not also very cold winters because there's a hard time snowing much when it's way below zero. But we have had a lot of both this year. Not quite enough cold to break records. We have had enough snow to break records, but it's been cold. There's been a lot of days and nights below zero by, minus 15 to minus 24 to minus 32, whatever. So I have gone through some wood. And the other big factor there is I have been able to be home because I am not working any regularly scheduled jobs outside of the house at this point. I do shovel snow and I do house cleaning, but those all involve being gone for limited amounts of time. It's not like, did you find your snowball? Oh yeah, let's throw another one. It's not like when I was working at a restaurant and I was gone for 10-hour, 16-hour shifts, that kind of thing. When I'm not here, obviously I can't keep the wood stove burning, so I would use my propane backup heat. So I did use more propane and less wood in those years when I was working away from the house a whole lot more and unable to come back here and put wood in the stove. This year I've pretty much been able to keep the stove going nonstop and have used almost not a drop of propane, but I've gone through more firewood. Then in addition it was extra cold for the year, and so that made me go through a little more. So I'm not concerned about this. Still got a good pile here. Let me show you. So this is the one end there. You're starting to be able to see the back of the bin. Right up there you're able to see a burly boy up above my head on the snowbank. And on this end, you can see this one's still got a good bit of wood. So that's going to last me a little while. We are into March, but it is not looking like, there's the big wood pile, it's not looking like spring yet around here. That is exactly how tall the snowbanks are around the house. This camera is actually a bit above my eye level right now. And right under this lump, not that you can tell, but I do have a big pile of rounds all cut and ready to split there. So as the year goes on here and I run through the rest of the pile on that end and then use up this pile, well, I'll start doing it before I quite use it up, but I may end up splitting part of that pile of rounds under there to use this year as well. Like I said, that's just, that's why I have it there. So that is no problem. And I am delighted with my beautiful puppy who likes to say hi to everybody, with the warm, cozy wood stove heat. And I do not mind splitting wood, so if towards spring here I end up having to split a little bit more of that to get through the rest of the year, that is no problem at all. So just thought I'd give you a look at that, because people ask me how much wood do I use and how long does it last and all of that. Here's the fire going inside. It's nice and cozy. Several of you guys said you'd like to just watch the fire. Oh yeah, and I did have a request from somebody who wanted a close-up. Here's my wood pile in here of the wood grain. I burn pine and aspen if you want to know more about what and why. I've got videos on that, but this pile is mostly pine at the moment. I have a mix. That's what the wood grain looks like on my little pieces. The bluish gray shading and chunks like that one in the middle there is from the trees having been killed by pine beetles. They get kind of a, sometimes even a purpley blue color to the wood. Anyway, so that's been my norm over the time I've been here, to go through about a cord and a half of firewood. I may get a little bit more than that this year because of the reasons mentioned, but that is pretty sufficient to keep me warm. And of course I have been running the stove pretty much around the clock for, let's see, November. We were way below zero in November, so November, December, January, February, part of March now, and I expect to continue that for part of April. Then I still occasionally, have fires on summer days, because occasionally it snows on summer days, and it's often below freezing on summer days, and so I still use some wood, not usually around the clock, but enough to light a fire and take the chill out of the house. Now, this house does retain heat really, really well. Yesterday actually, I guess it was up to, I think got up to 34 during the day. So we got a little bit of, snow turning into slush and so on. And I had dinner at a friend's place. So the last time I had put wood in the stove was before I went there. So probably about 6 in the evening. So from 6 p.m. that night, then when we came home, the house was still plenty warm. So Bradley and I just went to bed, and we didn't fill up the wood stove. So, the fire burned out by then. Next morning, I actually had something I had to go do with babysitting some children. And so again, the house was still fine, so I didn't bother lighting the stove. And didn't when I came home that evening, because I had to shovel snow, and it was still warm enough. And so the next time I lit a fire was late last night at, it was actually getting close to midnight. So I went from, 6 p.m. one day till midnight the next, so that's about 30 hours. And the house was still like 62 degrees inside. So that gives you an idea of how well it does retain heat. So even though I am often running this little stove around the clock in the winter, it is because my winters are really cold. And if you live somewhere where you only get a little bit of a chill, so in the 30 hours, it was maybe like 27 for the nighttime hours, and like I said, 34 during the day. So not crazy cold, but given temperatures like that, my house retained enough heat to go from being like, probably when I last loaded wood in the fire, the house was actually almost at 80 degrees. And I have windows open. And actually there was 3 windows open a crack the entire time through that period while the stove was out. And the house was still 62 degrees more than a day later with no additional wood in the fireplace. So hopefully that just gives you a little bit of reference for how that might work, and a bit of an idea of how insulated the house actually is, and how well it does retain heat despite being rather small. Anyway, just wanted to share that with y'all. Have a terrific day. I got some snow to go shovel. Hi folks, Ariel over here. Thanks for spending some of your valuable time watching these videos. Hopefully you found something beautiful, educational, interesting, peaceful, relaxing, or useful while you are here. If so, find more videos here, subscribe so you don't miss any updates, and if you like what you found here, feel free to like and share away so that others can benefit as well. You all have a wonderful day.